Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2 of R&R Doing Stuff. Ryan, how are you doing today?
This is a wonderful day in the neighborhood, man. How are you doing? I'm glad you're here.
I had no problems making it today. The time frames worked out perfect. So some days it does come together. As everyone will learn, I'm terrible with times. So the minute we have East Coast and Central, you just never know what I'm going to do. But I made it. And believe it or not, I think we have more VCF content to talk about today. Is that?
Well, it kind of is VCF adjacent, actually.
Oh, how is that?
So I went to a different museum, one a little closer to my house, over just north of the Baltimore, Maryland area called System Source. They were having a swap meet. So you get to come, show up, you can bring stuff to sell, you can show up and try to buy some stuff. I actually had an objective, and luckily I was able to meet it at the Swap Fest. So
Is this kind of like in England when they do a boot sale? You never been to an English boot sale?
I have never been to an English boot uh, sale, and of course, it took me a while to figure out what a boot was. Luckily, my brother-in-law is English, so I had to ask him what is a boot. And for those that don't know, it is the trunk of your car.
Dang it. I was just messing with Ryan, hoping I could get him to be like, no, Rich, we weren't selling shoes. So, yeah, was it like that? Everybody just pulled their cars up and popped up some tables and put the goods out for everybody to see?
Yeah, definitely that was it. And a couple people had some tents or little table things on top.
Yeah, the 8x10 pop-up, kind of that 8x10
Yeah.
pop-up where you put some heavy things on the pillars and away you go.
Easy peasy. You brought your own table.
Wow.
You brought your own lawn chairs. Yeah, I think there's around 10 vendors. I didn't look at them individually like I did the actual math, but it felt like about 10 vendors there. There was actually also a couple of ham radio operators set up some antennas in the parking lot as well. And I'll talk about that in a moment right after the Swap Fest stuff here, but that was very interesting.
Okay, did they have power? Were you able to see things powered up? I mean, because they're in the maybe we didn't say this to everybody. They were in the parking lot outside of System Source Museum. So this was actually in a parking lot. Did they have power?
I did not really see any power. The stuff I bought, I just kind of took a shot at it. It was cheap enough, so I was like, all right, let's do this.
Wow, this really sounds like the Under the Bridge in the 90s in Dallas. We would have a swap meet every month. I think it was the first Saturday, and it would be under the bridge in Dallas is what they called it. It was downtown. And yeah, you basically just pulled up in a truck and a car and you pop things open and people walk around. It was really incredible.
Oh yeah, most definitely. There was some newer stuff, some older stuff. My objective, I was looking for a SCSI CD-ROM. Found my Amiga 4000 tower that we talked about before.
Yeah.
The CD in it is having a little bit of issues, and I just wanted to look for one since the Swap Fest was there. Found one. Haven't tried it out yet. That's one of my projects, but found one, weirdly enough, in the box. The drive is in the box, in the carrier. You know, it's going to.
That's the way I like to collect. I like boxes.
I know you love the box.
I do love.
I'm going to take the drive out, and I'm going to send you the box.
And I'll store it for you in my box storage area because yes, I like the boxes. It's not even a value thing. I know some people, it's like, oh, I want premium value, right? I love the old boxes. I love like that +4 when I look at the outside of it. It's just so neat. It's just that era of marketing, that era of how things were, designed and portrayed to us. Just like I think 64 got in trouble for having something on their box, or maybe it was the Atari or the Tandy. Someone got in trouble for having a game on their box that was never a game that was for that system. But that's little box lore. Maybe we should have a whole episode on box lore. Not really. Just kidding. The swap meet, you sent me a couple cool pictures. Anything else did you pick up?
I picked up that. There was a free table, so I picked up some cables off the free table.
Love free tables.
I was on one of my other projects. I actually took an old parallel port and cut the ends off because I wanted a whole bunch of cables that were shielded or wired. And then I wired on the connectors that I wanted. And I'm like, someone's handing me cables. I now have more material to go build weird and wacky stuff.
Okay, now this is a discussion point. Listeners, like and subscribe, comment below. No, we're not on YouTube, but you get the idea. Gosh, we need to come up with an email where people can email in questions. But anyways, are older cables better? This is a very interesting question, right? That we made things certain ways at certain times, like audio cables. They're a dime a dozen nowadays. 3.5 both ends, whatever. When you cut one of those opens, there's just barely enough strand to make this work for the distance. And I wonder on the older cables, were they just over-engineered ever? Is there a reason that the older cables are better than the newer cables? Don't know. What's your hot take?
I know what I cut open worked great. I don't really have an opinion other than there was 26 or 28 gauge wire, so it was really small, but there's like 25 strands in the shielded cable.
I wonder.
And I needed 7 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to do 7 wires, so it was just super easy. It was already bundled together. That was my target.
Smart move.
So I was looking for the right tool for the right job, and that seemed to work out for me. Picked up that. Another guy that I know met me there. He's another Amiga enthusiast. He picked up a 44 meg Bernoulli disc.
Ooh.
So that was like a pre-zip disc.
Wow.
There was and from that person was trying to sell a whole stack of 44 meg Bernoulli discs with like 4 drives, and he also had 20 meg Bernoulli discs, which was the older version, with a couple drives there as well. I opted out of picking up any of those, but they looked really neat. It was really neat to see them there.
There's some price on that on some of those units online. There could be some. Even $50 isn't a sneezable price. That's a pretty good price.
Yeah, I don't know what he. I don't know how much I didn't even ask how much they were asking for them, because I was like, there's limited space, so you got to pick and choose your vintage stuff you're bringing into your house, right?
Yes, and we both need zip discs. So, dear listener, if you've made it to episode 2 and you've made it this far, if you know where to get some zip discs on the download, let us know. But dude, this was outside of a museum.
It was definitely outside the museum. So it's System Source is an amazing museum. If you listen to Usagi Electric, he actually did a tour of it recently with one of his videos.
Oh yeah.
And I got to go inside of this museum.
Jealous.
It was great. Next time you're out here, we're going to go for a ride. It was about 80 miles from my house. So
it's
pretty easy. And got to go see the big Cray with the little seats around it. That was amazing.
And did you see in the video, Usagi got to stand in the center of the Cray circle. And I say circle, it's not a full circle, it's a 3/4 circle, but you got to stand in the middle. They did have that roped off, correct? So you didn't actually get to sit in the seat or go walk in the center, right?
Actually, it's on a little platform. There is no roping off. Nothing is roped off inside the museum. It is also not the Cray was not turned on, but there were some other machines turned on in the museum.
Wow.
And I was looking at a Commodore PET with the chiclet keyboard.
Oh, yes. I saw that photo.
And
Ryan
which
and
was
I photo each other all the time, or text each other pictures all the time. Go on. I'm sorry.
That one was important to me because that was the first computer I used growing up. And so I have a big picture of myself hugging it effectively. So it's a nice chiclet keyboard with the floppy drive, or not floppy, the tape drive, and the blue banner on the back. Unfortunately, I did not keep that in previous moves in my life. But the guy came by. He's like, "Oh, you want to see it?" He just flipped it on, and we got to play with it. Unfortunately, the tape drive wasn't working yet. He's got to fix it. But we got to go play with that. there was, I forget what there was like three machines right there in a row. They're just like, yeah, hey, go play with them. They had a whole section set up with all the different fruit colored Macs, some
Oh wow.
older, a lot of tube stuff in there, some punch card stuff, Suns, SGIs. My corner of my home, which was Commodore Amiga, Commodore 64. They had another pet on a shelf that wasn't turned on, but they had this whole Commodore corner
Oh
per set. It was, I just felt at home. That's what I grew up
yeah.
with. So
Now
that's
in the
a happy place.
video I saw, it almost looks like some of it looks like, early 2000s office locations, like with cubicles and stuff. Did I remember that right from the video?
Yes, they are still an active business as well. It is a
Oh,
business out of the back.
that kills me. Are you kidding me?
No.
That is hilarious. So they're actually a business still. And so that really is the business stuff that I was seeing when he was,
Mhm.
talking with him, looking at some machines in particular on that video. And by the way, Usagi even picked up something from them, right? Isn't he doing something on his channel now with something from them that was shipped to him?
I believe so. Yes.
I can't
It's
remember
a,
that. It's a big vacuum tube computer.
it is. I know it. Watching the first Usagi video, it was like 1,000 pounds of computer. I have not watched the second video yet,
I have.
but
It was good. Go
it's
watch
on
it.
my it's on my list.
Hang up from
Uh,
this. Go watch it now. No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
Dude, that it is really awesome that they did their swap meet at yet another place that's a museum for you to go in and look at stuff when you're done with their stuff. They're so
right.
smart.
Oh, it's great. There was a lot of really neat things there. I saw this pre-computer. I think it was like the 1600s math adding little rods. So you flip these little cubes around in a certain order, and then you could look at the columns, and it would actually do the multiplication for you by being across the bottom.
Is this like a slide rule?
It was pre-slide
But
rule.
like
This was
a
from
but
the
like that. Remember
1600s.
you logarithmically slide rule, do stuff. It's a tool to help you do math.
Yeah, yeah, it was like early math. I'll find the name of it in the list, and we'll get it in the show notes for you. But it was really, really neat. I have a cool photo of it, and I have to play with it. It's a reproduction copy or like a newer one that was the same concept, and that's out and about. And it's really sweet.
I wonder if there's a 3D model of this thing.
Oh yeah, I did. I found a 3D model, and I thought about printing them. Yes.
I am thinking about printing them too. That's pretty neat. Again, we need to do a 3D print one day, or talk about some of that, because yes, I love 3D printing, and even inside our world, as we noticed last time we chatted, there are so many things that you can 3D print to salvage, refurbish, bring back your retro equipment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got this Mac that it looks like the back plate, the plastic standoffs, 60% of them are broken. I'm thinking I can get that 3D modeled. And if it's not already 3D modeled, I can go to Fiverr and pay some engineering kid to do it, because that's what I do, folks. I just use Fiverr. I don't need to learn Blender or any of that. I don't even care.
Nice.
What was going on there besides you had a swap meet, you had a museum tour. What else did you get into? Oh, ham radio was there. What else did you get into?
Well, we'll get to the ham radio here. They're looking at expanding their museum, so they have the vintage computer stuff on the side.
Yep.
And then the National Radio Museum is moving in there as well. That's why the ham radio guys were there. They were actually setting up an antenna to see what the signal was and that signal to noise ratio in that area is, because they're going to go put an antenna on the roof of this building.
SNR. Dude, okay, so I misunderstood the ham people being there. I just really thought they were enthusiasts that were showing up at the swap meet. Maybe they had some things on their table that were semi-retro in the sense of ham or things like that. I didn't realize that was actually like an expedition for a setup in the future.
Yeah, they had some HF radio, which is long wave things there. A couple looked like a tri-band antenna on a trailer that they actually cranked the tower up, made it go up, and then they were playing around with it for a little bit. They also had another station set up. They were doing UHF video. So they were doing video over UHF, and we got to be on their little TV, IPTV, to someone like 20 miles away.
That is beautiful. I love when people repurpose things. There's, we talked about a YouTube episode. There's even a gentleman I watch who does a lot with SDR, with antennas, with reading of satellites.
Right.
And I'm telling you, folks, this is like when I watch the art historian people. It's literally visual bait for my head and brain. I don't understand half of what he's saying, or 90% of what they say. I don't know. But there's a lot of really cool techie things going on that I just like to watch. And just like the art videos I'll watch, I just like watching them restore something. I don't even know what they're doing. I don't even know what the colors are. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. They do anything interactive while you're out there?
Yeah, following all that, they all got together and they had a workshop. So you could bring your equipment in.
Wow.
And start working on it, and to try to get it fixed. And there's other people that are knowledgeable in that area that can help you out. People, they have a sign-up spreadsheet ahead of time. It says, hey, I want to bring this thing. I'm looking for someone to help me with it. And you take your own tools, you go show up, and you start working on it. There was some 8-bit Atari stuff there. One of the guys that's local to me that I was up there with, he's a big 8-bit Atari guy, and he was helping out this other gentleman to at least point at potential issues of his machines. He thinks he had a good path of what was going on. We had some bad chip for the OS, and just looked like some bad logic chips that they sorted through. Saw another group looking on some old SGI VME bus machines.
What?
Yeah, you know what VME is? These
you got to tell me this. I don't even know what that means. That's Greek.
So VME is a special bus. I mean, Sun's used it. I still actually have a Sun box that has a VME card in it.
Wow.
The card's probably like 2 feet long by 2 feet with 3 pins on the back, and this is plugging into the back. It's plugging into the back plane, and then you plug all these cards in it. I think the box I have takes up to 12 cards. This one looked like it took maybe 4 or 5. And the cards just plug in and out. They could be a memory. They could be, I've got one with a whole bunch of serial ports on it. So you could be the main boxes have terminals hanging off of it. So it's a very, it's server technology stuff, from the 80s.
Yeah. I know on the local Facebook. By the way, if you are interested in any of this retro stuff, Discord, there's the VCF Federation. Mm-hmm. Check your Facebook. There is a VCF organization in 4 or 5 different locations in the States. You're going to find one. Yes. And you can join in. So I'm watching the Facebook group, and someone had an old IBM mainframe they were selling here in Dallas. Nice. And everyone's like, ooh. I shouldn't say everyone. Everyone liked it. But there were a couple people that were like, I started on this machine. I could work on this machine. That price is a little hefty. Because it was a price. It was a commitment price.
Yeah.
It was a used car kind of commitment price kind of thing. And the idea is you don't know. I mean, there's no more support for it, right? So That's a big commitment. That's a big commitment on one thing. But you get to see that too. And you get to see the stories. And that's kind of what you ran into. So that's really neat when that happens.
Oh, it was great. There was probably like 10 people there working on different projects and just got to do some social aspect.
Projects.
So they had people were working on, I saw a little board that had slots for 4 Raspberry Pi CM4s in it. And then you got to build a little cluster.
Wow. Was this like a mining kit? What is this for?
He was going to use it to do play with Kubernetes.
I know nothing about mining, so I just kind of asked that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do mining off of a Raspberry Pis.
Isn't that with the video cards? Yeah, don't you need a bunch of GPU for that? Something like that?
You want a lot of compute, definitely. But he was going to go learn throw Linux on them. So you have one board that has
Yeah.
one case has like a set of USBs in the back, and you could actually switch to what compute it goes to, and then work on Kubernetes and Docker and things.
Cool. Cool.
So,
Speaking of projects, we
right.
promised everybody a little project talk.
Yeah. What do you got?
Dude, I'll start. I'm always glad to start. I've got this mess. You ready? Look at this. So Ryan is he look at this mess, Ryan.
I've not seen this yet.
I got joystick buttons. I got a joystick. I got an encoder card right here.
Right.
Ryan really messed me up by saying, "Did you know Micro Center has like a big Arduino Raspberry Pi section?" And I went, "No, really?" And I went because I needed a switch, just a little toggle, left, right for a Arduino project I've done. While I was there, Ryan, they have a single player joystick kit for like $32. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Okay, maybe if I go online, I can buy the buttons and I can buy a joystick and I can buy an encoder card and I can have it shipped to me and it'll be under $32. I don't know. But that was a convenience fee that I was willing to pay. So I got it home and I love playing Kerbal Space Program. I'm terrible at it, but I love it. And you know what'll make my game better is if I have a joystick with buttons. So that was my project. I started, put it all together, tested it on my machine, and I used the joystick config. It works fine. Then I went into Kerbal, started mapping things within their mapping environment. All the buttons are fine. The joystick didn't work. So then it became, let's go to my Google Foo. And I'm Googling. Right. And of course, KSP has a great forum, a great community. I find the KSP Advanced Fly-by-Wire GitHub location. I don't know what I would call it. Program? Yeah, program. And of course, I had to load then some other programs so you could load mods. But everyone had all the notes. And I just went through, loaded up all the stuff, and another hour of playing, and I figured all my settings out. And so now you saw, I showed it to Ryan, everyone. It's like, it looks like an octopus because everything's just like, it's all wires. There's no box or anything yet. But it all works now. So I've got it all working to where now I need to cut a template front or top and kind of see where I want to go with this. But yeah, dude, I'm making my own joystick for KSP. So I'm super stoked, and I can't wait to show everybody the final product. Maybe I'll have a video or a picture or something that kind of we can share. But yeah, so no retro computers there, no retro gaming, but gaming and building stuff. And I like to build stuff. That's really one of the things I really enjoy. What's on your bench, man?
Building is great, by the way. I went to a Hamfest a little while ago and picked up a old Palm Tungsten T3.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, this little guy here. When I first started, I had no idea.
Hold it up to the camera better. Let me see it better. Oh, okay. Go on. Go back with your story. Sorry.
So no, you're good, man. So had a battery issue, would not turn on. And before I bought a battery, I wanted to actually is it worth buying the battery or something just dead, right?
Yeah.
It was in a box of stuff that was marked free. Please take it. He didn't want it in his house anymore.
Wow.
So I wired up some concoction with 3 rechargeable batteries. That gives me the 3.7 volts that this thing actually uses. The screen turned on and I could touch it and it worked. And I went, okay, fine. I guess I'm buying a battery. The other one was pretty bad and was bubbling out, so it expanded.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, it's never a good thing. So I got that recycled to our Lowe's. We'll take that. You wrap them in a little plastic baggie, put them in the recycle area. You don't want them to touch other stuff, but that needed to not be in my house anymore. So recycle, that's always good. Take care of our environment. And got the battery to come up and work. Got it put back together. Been playing with it a little bit. It had a Sim City and Mahjong game and a couple of games. Has a little SD card with.
I played the Mahjong game on my Palm.
Yeah, it's great. So it does still have some problems, unfortunately. This is one that has an expandable screen.
Oh, that's so cool.
So when the screen expands, the bottom half of it has a digitizer.
Yeah, just like the old Palm Pilots. It was where you were supposed to write in your scripting text in their language.
Right, which that part still works, but there's little buttons that moved all the way to the bottom. So the last about half an inch of the digitizer doesn't work. And you can't press the buttons there. It shifts
Ah,
everything out. But if the thing is closed, all the buttons are fine and it
yeah.
seems to be functional. It's just playing around. I just wanted to bring it back to life and play with it a little bit. That works. It came with the dock and it's charging. All of that seems fine. Played a little bit of SimCity. That was fine. It's just had a Palm years ago. This is what I started with before I went to an iPhone. And it was just
And
good to be playing with it again.
I got a little background story too. So, as you've heard in the first episode, I've known Ryan for a long time, and we worked together. We've been friends
Yep.
together. We've done so many things. And I remember at one job, you picked up a Palm SDK. I'm going to call it
Yes,
an SDK. Was it an SDK for Palm Pilot?
it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah. So this has been something that's been in your life for a very long time. That's cool. Dude, can you bring it to Gen Con so I can constantly ask you about your schedule and you go, let me check my Palm Pilot? And you sit.
Nice.
Ah,
Nice.
people would be like,
Yes.
what the hell are you doing?
Right. To be like, what are you idiots up to? No, it's great. I think it's just fun that I got it back together. It's missing a few screws, but
Yeah.
aren't we all?
Yeah.
And
I like what you did there.
so it's been a fun little project just to get on my desk. It's, these things take a little bit of time. So it's been sitting on my desk probably 4 weeks or so by the time I got it apart,
Yeah.
figured out what's wrong, get a battery here. It might have been longer than that because the first battery got lost in the mail, unfortunately. So I had to order a second one and get it all wired up. So, actually, just as
Okay.
of yesterday, it's working.
Is this a shelving project? I mean, none of you can see us at home, but we have shelves behind us, right? And our shelves are just full of our fun crap that we like.
Yes.
And so is this a shelf project that's just going to sit back there, or do you have any kind of integrations that you're thinking of?
You assume I thought this through.
All right.
Other than it's a toy, and I'll see if I can make this thing work.
It's a free shelf project right now, and we'll see. I bet you one day we talk to Ryan, and he's like, oh, "I've connected my Palm Pilot to my IMAX projector." And
right. That's just,
yeah, that's a thing, folks. Along those lines.
yes,
So
definitely.
awesome projects, but as I said, bring that someplace. That reminded me, dude. Where are we going to be?
We are going to Gen Con.
The greatest 4 days in gaming.
Yes.
And for those that don't know Gen Con, I think this year we're at 60,000, almost 70,000 people are showing up.
Probably.
Like
that sounds about right.
And we're going to game from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we all kind of go home Sunday. But they do have gaming on Sunday, so that's why it's 4 days, right? So we all fly in. We come to this convention. We game. I drink too much. You don't drink.
Yeah. Yep.
And we have a great weekend of tabletop games, of escape room-esque games. We have a full weekend of hanging out and having fun. And this is the largest gaming convention in the world, from what I understand. So if you're into any tabletop and board games and stuff, feel free to jump in. I had someone at work ask me, they were like, they were wondering if it was like in one of the hotels. I'm like, no, There's 60,000 people. It's not only in the convention center, it's in the hotels around the convention center, and it's in Lucas Oil Stadium. It's big. They put people everywhere to game. So it's really great. Anything to dovetail or bookend on about Gen Con for the listeners?
You're getting there quicker than I am. I'm slow boating it this year.
Oh, don't make me jealous.
I'm Amtrakking across from Northern Virginia over to Indianapolis, and I am looking forward to it. I did this last year. This was
it's
great.
Awesome.
It was nice and relaxing. You got to highly recommend Amtrak. I have a sleeper room to myself, which is great. Just got to go see parts of the country that you don't get to go see because there aren't any roads there.
No, and you don't have last year we still had some Corona stuff, right, going on in our heads. And it really gave you a secluded place. Whereas I was on a plane, I still wore my KN95 because I just don't trust anyone at the airport, right? And
Right.
I could see someone waking up doing a test and being like, well, I got to get somewhere, and sharing it with the world. So 100%, this gave you a very safe space to be within for traveling to and from. That's and I'm totally jealous. And by the way, everyone, we do love the times we live in today.
Oh yeah.
We talk a lot about retro, and now here we are talking about a romance, being on trains again. But we do love current technology. I don't want people to think we live like 60 years in the past and we're like, bring it back to the way it was, 8-bit. I love my Mac and my big old honking video card and my PC. I love it. So I can play games really fast.
Most definitely. And
dude,
emulate all these vintage machines.
That's right.
Super quick.
That's right. Gotta have it.
Yes.
We'll talk about the +4 in another time, but I did show my daughter a cassette game, and I let her drive. So I was telling her hit load and then hit play. And then, time goes by and she looks at me and I go, oh yeah, games take a long time to load from tape. It's like, what's happening? I see the tape. I see the screen. There's nothing. And the tape's rolling, but it takes a little time. Dude, what are you looking to do at Gen Con? What's on your hit list? What games do you want to play? What games do you want to pick up? Tell me. We haven't really even talked about this yet.
No, we haven't. And I know we're going to be talking about it more than likely in our next episode. We'll have a lot of recap of what happened. Yeah. But as a short teaser, I'm definitely looking forward to Robo Rally.
Oh,
it's a robotic game. Gentleman out there has a whole bunch of events, and he built Lego robots that are controlled by like a Raspberry Pi and Lego robotics sets, where we get to program these robots and they move around on this giant board, probably 20 by 20.
Oh yeah, 25,
easy.
25. It's huge. I've run around it before, and it's quite a run.
So looking forward to that. From a gaming perspective, also looking forward into some True Dungeon, which is like cross between LARPing and D&D, but you're actually playing D&D. So instead of rolling dice, you're sliding little chips, and you're playing shuffleboard. It's amazing. And then really hanging out with you and all our other friends.
I'm gonna go backwards a little bit on Robo Rally.
Bring it.
Steve Hasselplug, I believe he's the coder, developer, brainchild of this thing. I keep referring back to High Shelf Gaming Podcast, and I don't think okay. So Steve Hasselplug, I think he's the big brain behind this. That coding, developing, creation. I think there's a couple people. Are they assisting in the development, or do you even know? Is it Steve and the other folks who are assisting are more logistics assistants?
I think they help somewhat. I believe they also have technical backgrounds to help out with the technology, and actually they all do Lego stuff together. I know a lot of them have gone to Lego conventions that are Lego focused. So there's some overlap there. I don't remember who does which.
Totally. I need to go back. We interviewed Steve on the High Shelf Gaming Podcast one time, and man, he's been in Wired. He is like some Lego alpha person, he gets like the testing and opinions and things like that. So bigger brain than I got. Like you, he's a big brain like you. And it is amazing. So if you wanted more in that story, maybe I'll link it. I don't know. We'll do something. But yes, it is amazing. That is the best time. And this year for me, it's Friends, man. I really have no game to buy on my hit list. I have no game that I literally want to go demo. I do have, of course, the media badge with HSG podcast. And so I am getting in there to meet with people, see who wants to come on, do an interview or talk about their product over there in that world. That's really much more gaming related. So I think it's Friends and True Dungeon. True Dungeon is always so incredibly bizarre that, and it's such, we do this. We have been playing True Dungeon for 9 years, online, offline, real line, inline. And I don't think I've seen one puzzle that's the same in the puzzle rooms. Combat, of course, is a little additive. What's that when it's like the same thing over and over? Combat can be a little
Repetitive.
repetitive. Maybe that's the word.
Yeah.
I think there was another word. I was trying to be smart, and I don't know, but it can be a little repetitive. But the rooms you do combat in are always high value art, high value monsters, people in costume, people pretending to be in the event. So they really jazz it up, even though doing the combat is pretty much the same.
Combat is the same, but it's different because they have different monsters that have different outlines you're trying to target.
Oh, that's true.
And they change the slickness of the boards sometimes too. So
that's
your
true.
puck slides at different rates, and you're like, "What's that?" So, but it's a great 7 rooms of escape rooms. So it's like every 15 minutes you're going through another room. It could be a puzzle, it could be combat, could be whatever they dreamed up, and then we have to work together as a team to make this thing work and not die.
And we could LARP it out a little too. That it has a little bit of a LARP feel to it, but it is not a requirement that you're LARPing. That makes sense. So it's kind of neat that sometimes I play and I'll be the bard and I kind of get into character, man. And sometimes I play and I just hang out with my friends and help here and there when I can. So I really enjoy that experience. And I'm going back and not saying it's repetitive in combat. I'm backing up. I'm going to leave that statement in. I'm not cutting it out, listener. You get to hear me change my mind. I'm going to say it's familiar. That is what I'm going to say. Every time you go in a combat room, at least it's familiar. You're like, okay, there's going to be a board. Sometimes they hide the board, so you don't know it's a combat room until they bring the board out. But it's pretty neat stuff. So I can't wait to do that. That is really probably the big one. This year, the girlfriend and the son are coming. So it'll be a fun time. And we have lots of friends in Indy that we miss. And so we'll get to see Gen Con Amy and Mike and Paulie and hang out with all of our indie friends. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And so this, by the way, this episode will not drop until we've gotten back from Gen Con. So if you've made it this far in the podcast and you're like, oh, I want to go to Gen Con, I'm sorry, it's too late. Next year, I promise we will get a preview out way in advance of Gen Con. So if you're listening to this and go, oh, I want to go, you'll be able to get some stuff. And I think that means our next episode will probably be pretty heavy on gaming.
Yes.
But do you got any hot takes for maybe our next episode or any spoilers?
I don't know about spoilers per se, but I think we're going to come back. We're going to have an awesome time, by the time you hear this, dear listener, we have had an awesome time at Gen Con, and we're going to share all about it.
I like it. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you have a great day and go do something. Bye.
Bye.